AI is all over the news and in every facet of our life, it seems like these days. And we're just so pleased to have Wynton Hall with us. He is an associate of the Government Accountability Institute, who we have been fortunate to have many of your colleagues on The Truth with us. Wynton, welcome, and let's talk about AI.
Thank you, John. Appreciate being with you.
So how did you get so in tune with this subject? And you've written a book, and I bet you it's going to be a bestseller by the time you're done with it. And
thank you. Yeah, we just found out this week, actually, that it hit the New York Times bestseller list in its opening week.
Code Red.
I've served for over 10 years as Breitbart News social media director, and Breitbart News has the second highest engaging social media platform behind Fox News for conservative news. And what happened was, John, I started seeing what big tech was doing to conservative voices, the scan and ban technology that was used to silence, demonetize, deplatform, delist conservative news. President Trump himself during the whole questions over election integrity. And so I realized what these people were up to and how sophisticated they were. And then, of course, when we had in November of 2022, the front-facing arrival of ChatGPT, I realized very quickly that these two forces were going to come together. And so what I tell people is we think of AI as, quote, just a tool. It is a tool, but it's also political power. And so I spent 2 years, as we do at GAI, it's always deep dive, follow the money, granular research. And I spent 2 years investigating who are the architects of AI, what are their money flows, what are their ideologies, and what is their vision for AI beyond just a tool, but using it for political power.
Well, you really just ripped off a scab that we're still trying to heal from. YouTube throttles us like crazy. I mean, we've been on YouTube for 3 years. We'll get several thousand views of a video clip, but we've only got like 1,700 subscribers. We've been on Getter 2 months, and we've already gotten almost 3,000 subscribers. And I kept thinking that we just must not be getting the right formula, that it must be something on our end that we're doing wrong. And then when we had such rapid success, relatively, we're nowhere near where we want to be, obviously, but we're climbing the rungs on the ladder slowly but surely. It just hit us like a ton of bricks. YouTube is sabotaging us. Is there a remedy for that?
Yeah. So when you say YouTube, you're really saying Google.
Yeah,
which
for
means
sure.
You're really saying Alphabet.
Yep.
And the problem is this.
And
is
you're really saying
false.
left liberal hacks.
1,000%. Google is one of the most extreme and aggressive offenders. They have targeted to demonetize conservative right of center media. They absolutely shadow ban and have blacklisted and demonetized and push you down in the algorithm for sure.
Yeah.
It is a real problem. And if you think it's bad now, just wait until you realize how turbocharged it is in the age of AI. I'll give you an example. When we launched Code Red, part of that, I did a deep dive investigation on Google's AI, Google Gemini, and I did a deep research. And here's what happened. We smashed a hornet's nest in the US Senate. I did an investigation. I asked Google Gemini, assess the current 100 US senators and tell me who is in violation of your, quote, hate speech policies for Google Gemini.
Wow.
I know this is going to shock you, John. That basically 7 U.S. senators, it says, are bigots in violation of their hate speech policies, all Republicans, 0 Democrats. Then, on top of that, it hallucinated, meaning made up information, and thought that J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio were still in the Senate instead of the vice president and the Secretary of State, and it added them as bigot number 8 and number 9. Now, this wasn't just one little return. This was a 3,400 word, highly well-crafted analysis. So I went to Marsha Blackburn, Senator Blackburn. We went to Senator Tom Cotton. We went to Senator Rick Scott here, my senator in Florida. And we asked them for comment, and they were outraged.
Well, I'm outraged, but I'm unfortunately not terribly surprised. I mean, I can't get my hands around it. These people are not stupid. They're actually really brilliant people, but they have stupid ideas. And do they not care what kind of a country their children and grandchildren are going to grow up in when the socialist communists take over our country and change the fundamental fabric of what made it the great country that it is?
It's much worse than being stupid. They're drunk on their own power. They're masters of the universe and they know it. They have more money than the Treasury Department and the ability to knock people's lights out politically. These are brass knuckle players. These are very sophisticated political operatives. They understand the brass knuckle style of today's modern political warfare, and they're not afraid to use their power. They control the money flow in Washington. They control the donations. It's 85% of all political donations in Silicon Valley flow to the Democratic Party. Okay. And so they know what their leverage and their ability. And so they're just unafraid. They have very, very determined globalist, socialist vision of what they want to do. And they believe that they are far more powerful than the federal government because they're faster, they're smarter, they're ahead of the tech curve, and they know that the modern economy works and runs on technology. So they're drunk on power. It's hubris more than stupidity that drives them.
Have you been able to get inside their head and understand what drives them? I mean, I get the motivation, but I mean, what's the end game for them? If they could craft the world, and start with our country, what would it look like? What is it that they want to achieve? Because I don't get it. I like the way the country has been for the last 250 years.
Yeah, they have a very radical left agenda. They believe in a far more left center of values on a host of issues. But they want a European-style socialist country is what they want. They want to see America become far more like Europe than the other way around. They also think that MAGA voters or conservatives' values are backwards on things like LGBTQ, transgender issues, and a host of other policy issues. And they are throwing their weight around. I'll just give you a couple of examples also as it relates to how they're going to use AI to actually bring about what they want. So in 2016, a young man, he was in his early 30s, he went on a blog, his blog, it's still up, the post is still up. And he wrote and he said, I want to do a study. I want to give away $1,000 a month, no strings attached to low-income people. And I want to see what will happen. Will they use it for leisure time? Will they create new businesses? Will they just blow it on, silliness? And he kept his word and he raised $60 million, okay? $60 million, John. This was the largest universal basic income study ever conducted in American history. It was a longitudinal study. He chipped in 14 million of his own, and then he raised 60 million. And they did this study for several years. Now, the outcome was a mixed bag. Some people went to the dentist more. Some people did a little more leisure. That wasn't what really was striking. What was striking was what he said was the reason why he wanted to do this study. It was two reasons. One, he said that, and I'm paraphrasing, he thinks in the future technology is going to require wealth redistribution, a socialist-style universal basic income. And two, he said he thought we will one day think it was silly that we ever used fear of not eating as motivation for human flourishing and work. Now, you and I would call that the Protestant work ethic, the thing that has motivated people to strive and work and provide for their wife and child and husband and family. And he was wanting to snap the hinge of that to create a post-labor, post-capitalist frame. That young man's name is Sam Altman. He is the CEO of OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT. Now, here's the tell, John. That study was conducted in 2016, as I reveal in Code Red. When did ChatGPT come out?
About then.
November 2022.
Oh, wow.
He's thinking about wealth redistribution and socialist redistribution in UBI 6 years before he releases the most important AI invention at the time, revelation. So this is a very, very, now he's not alone, by the way. Mark Zuckerberg, Dustin Moskovitz, a whole host, Bill Gates, obviously. These are far left people who have a very, very clear vision of a post-labor, post-capitalist society, and they know that AI has the ability, if leveraged and politically weaponized, to bring it to fruition.
That's not a very bright prediction for the future, is it?
No, but we've got to get coached up fast because they know how far ahead they are. They've been thinking about planning, building, investing in this vision for a long time. And sadly, many conservatives just aren't in the room where the future and the current is being built. Yes, there are some brave, libertarian, conservative-minded, free market people in Silicon Valley. Obviously, Elon Musk, Mark Andreessen, Peter Thiel. But the reality of the bulk, as we talked about, is political donations are overwhelmingly one-sided. And so they're the richest people on the planet, the smartest people in the rooms, and they've got all the leverage in Washington because they are the chief donors who flood the campaign coffers. So what's the solution is, one, to realize there are going to be positives of AI. And this book is not a doom or apocalypse book. There's a lot of benefit that we can have in many ways from AI. The problem is understanding that they're playing 5D chess and they are politically focused on AI and how to use it for leverage. So we got to get coached up. We got to know the lexicon and grammar and syntax of this world, not at a technical level. You don't have to be a coder. You don't have to understand neural networks at a granular level. But what you do need to understand is the core concepts and who are these people? Most of us know who Bill Gates is. Most of us know who Mark Zuckerberg is. But how many people know who Demis Hassabis is? How many people know who Mustafa Suleiman is? How many people know the donation histories of Dario Amodei at Anthropic and the fact that Anthropic has given $200 million since just 2020 to Democrats? Okay, these are very sophisticated political operatives, and we have to understand the game they're playing.
Well, I have been an advocate for a long time. I mean, the system has gotten distorted, and I just had a conversation with somebody else before you came on about what I perceive our culture has adopted a love for money, and the Bible says that is the root of all evil. I just thought it was money. I was talking to my preacher one day, and he said, "Oh no, it's not money. It's the love of money," and it seems to have inflicted every fabric of our society, including the churches, which now have inordinately large endowments and money at their disposal. And so I'm a capitalist, and I've worked my butt off to try and acquire and save and invest. So I'm not opposed to that at all. But do you feel like that it has distorted the way we look at things and the way that we view the world? And has it become a cultural problem that we've got?
Yeah, I think it's money. I also think it's power and a lust for power. And those obviously go hand in hand. Yeah. Money becomes power and power becomes money. And so they are two sides of the same coin. I think that the other thing is that there is such a focus on, an attention economy with social media. And I think the celebrity and glorification of and validation for attention it becomes a part of this toxic brew as well. And so you've got people who are able to get very rich, very young. Most Silicon Valley elites, these are people that made $1 billion before they were 30. I mean, they're not the old school industrial age of some, oil baron who worked in the fields for decades. And I mean, in their 20s, they're getting, stock options and IPO and all the rest and their valuation. So these are people that don't have a lot of life experience, maybe don't have a lot of wisdom that we gain through the trials of life and learning the hard way, but they've got more money than they know what to do with. And so you're right, it becomes very, very tempting and toxic.
Well, you mentioned Elon Musk a minute ago. He started out to be being a Democrat. He didn't convert to Republican conservative thought until relatively late in the game. Do you think there's hope for the rest of them?
I think there are some who will come to it, but I think that Peter Thiel famously said that Silicon Valley is a one-party state. And there is such a monoculture within big tech circles that even just to be able to be accepted as a peer, as someone you'll do deal flow with, you have to almost show your country club card, metaphorically speaking, of ideology. And so you have to have shown up to all of the woke events and given your $50,000 donation or your $150,000 donation, whatever it was. just to even be part of that deal flow orbit, almost like a little country club. And so you probably have some quiet, sort of closet conservative or libertarian minded people, but they actually kind of mute themselves because they know that it will be uncouth if they start to speak out, and that could risk their business deals.
So how do we get people motivated to come out at the midterms? I'm really growing anxious about the Republicans' chances. I mean, I thought it was going to be a slam dunk. We got Donald Trump as president. Elon Musk was going to doge the hell out of the federal bureaucracy, and we were going to pass all sorts of legislation that would solidify our conservative base. And Kash Patel and Pam Bondi would clean house in the deep state, and we'd get this country back together. What is going on? And bring us back. Where is our optimism?
Yeah, right now there's a feeling of an emotional doldrum, and that the election, the left has got all the energy, they've got all the momentum. I'm seeing that as somebody who looks at analytics on social media all day long. The left is going viral every day. They're high-fiving. They think it's in the bag. I think that, one, obviously the war is very concerning to a lot of conservatives on a lot of levels. I think the other thing too is that we've really gotten off those kitchen table issues that really got us here. And because of that, there's just not enough media oxygen to be able to divvy that up. And so I think tonight you're going to hear the president start to really give us a end of this war and winding it down. And then really hopefully shift back to the things that people care about: affordability, making sure gas prices come and stay low, healthcare costs, just the prices in general on things. And I think that's his sweet spot. I think when he's talking about that, about keeping our families and communities safe, and about giving us a better option for our kids in a future, we're winning. And the question is going to be, will there be enough money to compete with the, left coffers that are very, very focused on winning the House and Senate and in the midterms? And they know that historically the out party always does much better in that midterm. So we're going to have to see about that, I think, but it's really we got to tack back to the sort of bread and butter issues.
Wynton Hall, thank you for coming on The Truth Today. He is an author. He is a principal at Government Accountability Institute, our new best friends. And get his book, Code Red: How AI is Shaping the Political Discourse in Our Culture Today. Wynton, it's been a pleasure of having you on. And where do people follow you?
Thank you, John. Yeah, just Wynton, Wynton Hall on X, Twitter. And there is a AICodeRedBook.com website, but everybody can get it at Amazon is most where people are getting it. And thanks for having me on.
It was our pleasure. Thank you. And come back again real soon.
Yes, sir.